Hey, good afternoon everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to make stovetop biscuits. This is not a traditional biscuit recipe, but circumstances call for it because it is on the range of 85, 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside. It's mid-July and I do not want to turn the oven on to 400 or 450 Fahrenheit, but I still want to make some biscuits. So these will not be as aesthetically pleasing as a traditional recipe, but it gets the job done. Now, you will need some self-rising flour, and if you don't have that, I leave it to you to work out the conversion with baking soda and baking powder. Some 1% buttermilk. I would not use full fat for this because I'm using a 1/4 pound or 1 stick of butter for this. Now, you will need a grater and some kitchen gloves. The reason for this is it's easier to work with, easier to clean up, and also the butter doesn't melt, okay, which is key to this. Speed is very important, so let's get to it. Start heating a pan, preferably non-stick, to medium-high. You should accurately measure the flour, and what I mean by this is level it off with a knife. You can do this over a larger bowl. I'm just doing this right over the container. So there's the 1/2 cup. I pre-measured the buttermilk. Just set that aside for a minute. And I got the butter out of the fridge here. Use the large side of the grater. And grate a portion of it, and then you can just kind of pick it up very lightly. Try not to touch it at all. I know that's hard to do, but kind of use a kind of claw motion with this. The reason you want to do this in portions is it doesn't just make one huge glob of butter, which defeats the purpose of the grating. Once you've mixed that up as well as you can, put in all the buttermilk all at once. You should use a spatula for this to minimize handling and keep the temperature down. Once you've done as well as you can with the spatula, just pick it up and turn it over. Press it into the dry ingredients you can see using the tips of your fingers and the backs. Try not to use the palms, there's just too much heat. Just do this as few times as it takes to get the dry ingredients off the bottom, or most of them. If you've got a couple of bits at the bottom, do not worry. You don't want to ruin your entire recipe for trying to be a perfectionist. Get your knife. Again, these are not like your perfect biscuits with the roller and the cookie cutter and all that. It's like a down and dirty recipe when you just go, I don't care how hot it is, I want biscuits. So pick up one piece and just kind of roll it up and flatten it a little. Put it back, do the next one. These will be ragged and they also may be uneven. Don't worry about it, just get them in the pan. Your pan should be fully heated before you start, and if you forgot or whatever, pop these in ideally the fridge or a freezer that's big enough if you've got one to slow down the rising action till you can get them in the pan. Now you're hearing the sizzle because of the butter in here. Watch these very carefully at the beginning. If your temperature is too high, it will begin to smoke. You want to take them off the heat and turn your heat down until it settles down. Hopefully you don't set off your smoke alarm. Just keep them moving there. Now, I don't have a cover large enough for this pan, so what I do is I just get a big piece of tin foil and pop it over the top. It helps to keep the heat in and have them cook quicker. So once the initial rise and the first browning is done, you can turn them down because you want them to cook through. They'll only rise so much at the beginning. So just take a look. Yeah, you're going to flip these a couple of times. Then I'll just zoom in on that one, and you can see how high that got. So let's flip the others quickly. Think of it as sort of like searing a steak. You want to get one side browned and hard before you turn it over. Those are looking good. I'll get the tin foil. And when I said large, I wasn't joking. If you can find a box of this stuff at a restaurant supply store, do yourself a favor if you've got the room for it. It's just awesome. One piece does the trick in most circumstances, and you can recycle it. It's been literally a couple of minutes, but I am going to take a look at them because you want these cooked through, but you don't want them over brown. So let's just take a look. Oh, that's looking nice. Think of them sort of like big fluffy pancakes, and you're there. As you can see, they come pre-buttered. Now this one here is ill-behaved and splitting open, but you can sort of remedy that by just getting your tongs and squeezing it, and give that a flip. They're not cookie cutter. Think of them as these individual works of art. Okay, now I'm definitely going to turn the heat down to a little above low and just let them cook through. And if you see what I mean, let me try to find one. Yeah. This one here, if you notice, the middle is moist. Since both sides are cooked, what you're going to do is you're going to watch the sides now, and when the sides are not damp and look cooked through, your biscuits are ready. These have been on for another 10 minutes on low. They're probably cooked, though with these you don't really get two chances. Now I'll zoom in so you can see how they're doing with me. That one's looking pretty good. Just zoom out a little. Okay, by keeping them on low, they have the same level of brownness without a risk of burning, because burning really turns the flavor off on these. And that one is sort of healed up. That was the messed up one. They do have a sort of sound they make when they're done, sort of a hollow thump. But the only way to be absolutely sure is to cut one open. If you've never made these before and you can't stand the smell because it's too good, feel free to have a test biscuit. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I am not going to tempt fate here, and I'm just going to put my sort of lid back on and let this go for 5 more minutes. Yep. There's another test. You can just like drop them in the pan and don't worry about them breaking or anything, and that means they're cooked. So let me transfer those to a plate and let them cool off for a bit. They cool down enough that you can touch them, I don't know about you. Some people like biscuits right out of the pan. I prefer to have mine cool off for a bit. So here's the test. Get a fork. You can just rip them apart, but they come out neater if you use a fork. And just give them a poke around the side. The moment of truth, are they cooked? Yes, they are. Now, these aren't quite English muffins, and I won't pretend they are. They might look like them a little, but the holes are too small. They do smell like hot buttered heaven. So I'm definitely going to have a piece. Moist, yet crunchy on the outside. Very buttery. If you're a fan of gravy, sure, why not? These would go nice with a bit of jam. Oops. Or just eat them like this. Try one hot, try one cold. But try them. Thank you for watching, and if you like my videos, please subscribe and do come again.